Good morning, Veritas scientists. Today is Thursday, May 7th, 2020. That's when I'm making this video. Check your Google Classroom for the assignment for today. So first of all, we're going to do a little review of what we've learned. We're going to go over yesterday's question. So far, the last 2 days, we've been learning about something called metamorphosis. That's the change of shape during an animal's life. And we learned that mostly insects are the creatures that go through metamorphosis. Okay, there's two types of metamorphosis. There's complete metamorphosis, like a butterfly completely changes from a caterpillar into the adult stage as a butterfly. It goes through a complete metamorphosis. It completely looks different as a larva than it does as an adult. Okay, same thing with the tadpole turning into a frog. The larva stage of a tadpole is a tadpole, and then the adult is a frog or a toad, goes through the same. That's a complete change, a complete metamorphosis. Some insects go through an incomplete metamorphosis, like ants that grow wings, right? Some types of ants, they start off looking like a little ant, just like every other ant we've ever seen, and then they eventually, as an adult, look like a big ant with wings, right? So they don't really, the only thing that changes is that they grow wings. That's an incomplete metamorphosis. Okay, so I want to stress that only insects go through metamorphosis, and some amphibians. Most living things do not go through metamorphosis. It is not a typical life cycle of most animals. That's what we're going to learn about today. What do most animals go through as a typical life cycle? But first, we'll go over yesterday's question. It said, draw a diagram that shows the 4 stages of butterfly metamorphosis. You must label the 4 stages: egg, larva, pupa, and adult, and identify the name of the creature at each stage. For example, which one is butterfly? Okay, so here is the diagram that I drew. Starts with egg. That's the first of the 4 stages. Drew some eggs here. And then those hatch into the second stage, which is the larva stage. Okay, so the larva form of a butterfly is called a caterpillar. Okay, so the larva stage is when they grow. So if you know anything about Eric Carle, he's an author actually from Western Massachusetts. He had a book that I used to love as a kid called The Hungry Caterpillar. All right, caterpillar goes around through the book and just like eats everything. That is what the larva does. The larva is growing, so they eat as much as possible. So they eat a lot. That's what they do all day, right? They just eat, 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 eat. They eat as many leaves, as much as they can to grow and become big and strong enough to then go through the next stage. So the next stage, the third stage, is called the pupa or pupa stage. I always pronounced it pupa. So the pupa stage for a butterfly is a cocoon, which is also called a chrysalis. And it looks kind of like that. That's not the best drawing. But basically the pupa stage is when the larva is transforming. It is changing at this point. So inside of the cocoon, that caterpillar is changing into the adult form. It goes through lots of change here in the pupa stage. Then the 4th stage is when it is an adult. It comes out of the cocoon or the chrysalis and is a butterfly. Okay? So what's cool, what I learned about butterflies last year, or a couple of years ago when I was teaching about butterflies, was that they only live, not all of them, there's thousands and thousands of different types of butterflies. Butterflies are really cool, actually. But they only live for about 2 weeks. Most types. Some of them live live longer than that, but most butterflies that we see only live for 2 weeks. So their job as an adult is to then lay more eggs. So when you see butterflies flying around, they fly to as many trees and as many flowers and places as they possibly can, and they lay eggs everywhere they go. So that's why they have got these wings. That's why this creature, the butterfly, has adapted to be going through these stages of metamorphosis, because the larva is growing, but in order for it to reproduce, in order for them to lay eggs, it needs to have wings. And then when it grows those wings, that's an adaptation that took many, many, many years for butterflies to be able to do. And now their job as an adult butterfly is to lay more eggs so that they can have babies and so that this can continue happening. And their species is more likely to survive because they're able to do this. So butterflies just go to as many places as possible, and they lay eggs everywhere for 2 weeks, and then they die, which I think is really, really cool. Okay, so we're going to talk more about like mimicry and things soon about butterflies. Butterflies are very, very unique creatures. They're very cool. All right, but basically the larva is when it's growing, it's eating, it's getting ready so that it's able to have the energy to change. The pupa stage, it changes into an adult, and that's where it just lays as many eggs as it can and gets ready to lay eggs and then die. Right? So, again, metamorphosis is common in insects, but it is not a typical life cycle, and that's what we're going to talk about now. So today's Thursday, May 7th for me. Let me take a deep breath. It says there are 4 stages of the life cycle for all animals. So all animals go through 4 stages of their life cycle. But the stages vary a lot between different species. So even though they all go through these 4 stages, the life cycle of a bear, the stages are a lot different than the life cycle of a snake, which is something we're going to talk about tomorrow. Okay? So they are these 4 stages that are always the same, but they're kind of a little different between different species of animals. Okay, the 4 stages are birth, growth, reproduction, and death. So stage 1, birth. Stage 2, growth. Stage 3, reproduction. Stage 4, death. Okay, and if we even think about butterflies, they go through those 4 stages as well. They are born, they grow like a caterpillar, then the butterfly reproduces and lays more eggs, and then they die, right? So all animals go through these 4 stages. Draw 2 diagrams, one for the life cycle of a bear, that's why I put bear here, and one for the life cycle of a snake. I'm going to do that over here. You must label the 4 stages. So kind of like I labeled them here, egg, larva, pupa, adult. I want to make sure that you draw a picture, a diagram, and label them as these 4 stages: birth, growth, reproduction, and death. All right, so that's your assignment for today, and we will talk more about these 4 stages, and we'll go over more examples tomorrow. Okay, hope everybody has a great day. Say hi to Charlie, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.